Our next presenter, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will tell you that if I lived the life that she had until the point she made a decision, I would have been curled up in a ball in a corner and nobody would be able to find me. So please help me welcome our next presenter, not Bill, Joan DiGiovanna.
Thank you very much. Is the mic working? Yes. Awesome. Well, I have to start off by saying on behalf of the other presenters and myself, we are so grateful that you are here today with us. It means the world to us. It's my intention in the next 10 minutes to deliver you from average to admired with clarity and with confidence. But before we get started, I need to share a quick reality check. Some of you might have been listening yesterday to Gary and the language. Well, you may or may not know that at Keller Williams, if you use cuss words, you contribute to KW Cares. So the other part of that for me is I was born and raised New York Italian. So the odds are stacked against me before I even start this talk. But Brady, I hedged my bet. I brought my 50 just in case. I'm ready, okay? From average to admired. Think about that. What does that mean? Well, I can tell you what it meant to me. It came to me in a moment when I was asked. And it was a moment where, well, I was having a conversation with my youngest daughter. If I'm being completely honest, it wasn't a conversation, it was a fear-mongering moment. I was explaining to her all the reasons why I couldn't do it. They do, but I don't, and I can't, and you will, and none of it. And she looked at me and she said, "Mom, I have a question." "Sure, honey." "Why not you?" And I went, dang, why not me? That was a showstopper. It stopped me in my tracks. Well, in order to tell you what was happening and why, I'm going to have to take you back just about 10 years. I was 57 years old. I had just gotten my license in real estate. Yes, we've heard that today from other speakers. 57, and I decide to do a career change. Few other things were going on. I was over $100,000 in debt. You know, the kind of debt where you're a couple of months behind on your car payment, you're a couple of months behind on your mortgage payment. But I was determined. I was so excited. I was with Keller Williams. They have all these really cool classes. I couldn't wait to go to my first class. I go into the kitchen. I get my thermos. I go over to the kitchen sink to fill it up with water, because back then we actually still drank the water in the kitchen sink. I turn it on. My water had been cut off. It was desperate times. It really was. But if I'm being honest, none of that was as challenging as Tina was. Tina was the tiny little tumor that had taken up space in my brain. Only she wasn't so tiny anymore. But I thought to myself, if I can handle Tina and all of her drama, and she doesn't come with rule books, manuals, how-to, and all of that, why not me? Why can't I do luxury? The kid's right. Why not me? And it was in that moment I made the shift. I shifted my mindset from fear, false evidence appearing real, to faith, to why not me? Okay, well, I got ready. I know what I'm thinking now, but how do I do it? Well, in the interest of the 10 minutes of time I have today, I abbreviated it down to 3 things that I knew I had to teach myself. Joan, you have to educate, you have to associate, and you have to acclimate. So when it came to the educate, most of you can figure that out on your own. But the two things that I'm exceptionally proud of that I did, that I really feel made the difference for me is, one, I went to the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing, and I worked every program they have, and I continue to use that. It's a great asset. If you're not using it, please consider it. The more important thing that I did, that I'm really proud of, that I believe got me on this stage today, okay, we don't have a stage, but you know what I mean. I figured out, how am I going to get to these big dogs? How am I going to get to know the people I need to know when, as we say in Italian, I don't know un cazzo boo. So I figured out that Keller Williams gives classes. They teach you how to interview top producers. They teach you how to be a moderator, a facilitator, how to get the job done. And guess what else? Do you know what the credentials are you have to do in order to stand up here and facilitate and moderate top producers? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You just have to want it. So I went and I took all the classes that I could take. And I also found out that when it comes to getting into the big dogs' offices, you're fast-tracked in when they know you want them to be on a panel or to interview them. And the other really cool thing about it, do you know who selects the topics that you're going to interview them on? You do. So what do? I picked whatever I needed to know in that moment. Whatever I was like, oh my God, how do I do this? Oh, God, Diane's here. I'm going to go ask Diane to be on my panel, and I'm going to find out everything I need to know about that subject. So that's how I went about doing the educate. The next thing that I needed to do was associate. Who do you associate with? How do you associate with them? Well, what I realized is associate has more to do with you, yourself, than it does with the people around you. Because until you know what matters to you, you don't know who to go and look for. So I told myself, I said, Joan, know your vibe, then go find your tribe. And that's what I do. I know my vibe, and then I reach and I look for my tribe. Who is like-minded, just light years ahead of me? Who is someone that I feel will share with me, will care the way I do? Things will matter the same to them as they matter to me. That's what I do. The other thing that's really, really important is to co-broker. It's important from day one, and it's important when you're advanced. 2 weeks ago, I was at a luxury event in Minnesota. It was for a $50 million property. The broker who had it knew immediately to bring 2 other brokers in, because between the 3 of them, they covered everything that needed to happen. Once you make that commitment for luxury, you don't know when the opportunity is going to knock, and you must be prepared. So by having somebody there in your corner ready to work with you, if that opportunity shows up, you won't be nervous. You'll be like, Carolina, as a matter of fact, yes, I'm so excited to help your $12 million buyer in Santa Fe. My colleague and I, we're ready. We're going to do it. So educate, associate, and then acclimate. I am so sorry. I have to take a drink of water. My nerves are much not as steady as everyone else. Thank you. Oh, I supposed to. Okay. So educate, associate, now acclimate. What does that mean? Well, for me, what it meant was I had to acclimate my brain. I needed to understand and start thinking all things luxury. When you're in the hole over $100,000, it's really hard to believe. Why not me? So by acclimating, using my mindset and making it what it needed to be, as opposed to looking at the listing price and acclimating to a list price, that's what really worked for me. There are only 2 things back then and to this day that I care about and I concern myself with in my career. The first one is my reputation. Your reputation is everything. That's all I care about today, tomorrow, and until I retire. The other thing is growth. I promise you, if you just focus on growing from wherever you are, don't think about the fear-mongering. Don't think about that. Just get yourself in any kind of a growth mode, and the fear goes away. It gets fun. You get going, and it'll get you to where you want to be. So that brings me to where am I right now? Well, where I am right now, first and foremost, is I am 6'7". You know, 6'7". And if you don't know, go ask your kids or your grandkids. They're going to explain it to you. I have a very warm and healthy real estate company. The majority of that company is luxury. The majority of it is based on referrals. I have a real estate portfolio, no more debt. And thank you. And I am very proud to say that I also work in international luxury real estate. I have a listing in Rome right now, if anybody's interested. But I work in France, I work in various parts of Italy, and I'm very proud of that. I do have something else I want to say. Brady, may I have a little bit of grace and permission to say a small cuss word? Is that okay? I am very happy to tell you all that I kicked Tina's ass to the curb. God, no more. So, that's kind of awesome. I want to share with you also on some of the seats, you'll see this card. If it's not on your seat, I'll be here. I'll be happy to give you one. If there are follow-up questions in the interest of time, because I know where time is limited, you can scan this and you can ask me whatever your question is. But the other thing is, if anything I said resonated today with you, and you find yourself in a success story based on something I might have said, I'd love to hear about it. And you know what? Here's the deal. The first person to reach out to me gets the 50 that I didn't blow. So there's that. I want to leave you with a saying that I came up with when I was honored to be on a panel last year at Family Reunion. And I say it all the time to everyone in my office. And that is, luxury is not about waiting for your seat at the table. Luxury is about knowing that you belong at that table, making sure everyone else knows you belong there too. And while you're there, let them pick up the check, because after all, why not you? Thank you.